Morning, everybody. Mike Rasmussen here, coming to you with my update from our town council meeting last night, Monday, April 4th. Um, so I'll hit a few of the items that were sort of administrative updates, stuff like that, and then talk a bit about some of the council agenda items for anybody who wasn't able to be there, either on Zoom or here on Facebook, or in person, obviously, because we are now meeting in person. So big things on updates for discussion items or things coming up in the community. Tonight is the Meet the Candidates night for the council election. So 6 to 8 p.m. tonight at Town Hall. Meet the candidates. You can come out, talk to. I'll be there, obviously, as will the other candidates running for the at-large seat. And it's a pretty informal event. If you've been to this before, we basically will be hanging out. Come ask questions, talk to us about things you've seen, things you'd like to see, what we'd like to do here in the community. I've got lots of stuff to talk about if you want to come visit. The election is on April 26th, so that's coming up a couple weeks away. Put it on your schedule, plan to come out and vote, and hope to see you tonight or certainly on the 26th. Let me see. Next thing, the utility committee meeting is coming up on the 12th. So next week, I'm going to be attending that meeting because there's a conversation that we started in the council a couple of weeks ago around what the North Water Tower might look like. The background on this is that as the town is growing, and one of the major areas where we will see additional residential and possibly commercial growth is on the north side of town. The town owns a piece of property up there that has been slated to have a water tower installed on it. And right now we're doing a lot of the engineering and planning work for that. The conversation that we've had is that is going to be probably the most visible piece of our community for those people who are traveling south on Route 1 or coming south into the area on Route 13. And maybe we can think about that water tower a little bit differently. Most of the water towers in town either have the word Smyrna on it or have the red eagle painted on it. So the question was, let's talk about whether or not there's a chance to do something a little bit more creative, a little bit more interesting, that may reflect a little bit more of the history, the people, the culture of this community for those folks who may only see the water tower, right? So that conversation is going to be happening as part of the utility meeting on the 12th. If you've got any reason to jump on, it's a Zoom meeting. You'll be able to find the information in the Zoom link on the town website. It should be up probably today because we post about a week in advance for each one of those meetings. A little bit of an update on Arbor Day. So Arbor Day is going to be on April 13th this year. We're going to be doing a tree planting ceremony. It's going to be at 5:30 p.m. out actually at the Public Works building. We're planting a tree in honor of Bill Evans. So Bill was one of our town staff for a very, very long time. He was the director of Public Works, recently retired. So this tree is going to be going up in his honor, 5:30 on April 13th, if you can make it out for that. We also, another tree update. We got another, I mentioned in a previous meeting, we were applying for a matching grant as part of a tree inventory, basically a true assessment of what are all of the different trees here in our community, what is the status on those trees so that we can better plan for managing the canopy here in town and managing where and how healthy those trees are. We got a $5,000 matching grant that's going to help to pay for some of that tree inventory that we're getting started with, hopefully pretty soon. Spring cleaning. The last week of April, so that's starting on the 25th and going through the first week of May, is spring cleanup. That is your opportunity to get stuff out to the curb, have it picked up by the town staff, things that are too big to fit into your garbage can. There are some restrictions. You cannot put hazardous waste out there. You cannot put things like refrigerators or air conditioners, stuff that require some type of remediation. And you can't put out construction materials. But this is your chance to get rid of, if it's a mattress or a piece of furniture or something like that that you don't have the ability to get up to the transfer station. You can get it out there. Our staff is going to be driving around. It's not a set schedule. the town is going to be out driving around, taking assessment, and trying to find as many of those things for that 2-week period as possible. So April, the last week of April, first week of May, that's your chance to get anything out for the spring cleanup. Another April update coming soon. So another thing I mentioned in the past, the town is working on a new website. It is in the final editing stages at this point. The intended launch date is going to be Tuesday, April 26th, same day as the election. So we should be seeing a new update, better updated information, some new photos, changing out older information. If any of you spend time or work in websites at all, updates, they're a constant part of life on a website. And so this is a better look at it. Ideally, it's to make it a lot more user-friendly, to put information a little bit easier to access for people, give a better interactive experience. As more and more people do more and more of their business with the town through the town website, we need a better portal by which we are actively out there communicating with folks. So you'll be seeing that it will go live, the intended go live date, assuming nothing goes wrong, Tuesday, April 26th. So keep an eye out for that one. Those are the updates. Actually, there's one more update I wanted to share. So Chief James shared his update on the police department, we generally get the kind of crime statistics and things like that for the community. But something that's a new piece of the update that we're getting from him is a victim services stats. So the police department, through a grant, was able to hire a victim services coordinator. This is somebody whose job is to help make sure that people who have been impacted by some sort of criminal activity have access to the resources that they need. And so in our first month, which was March of this year, we actually had about 50 different reports that were received for the victim services coordinator. And they are there trying to help those folks connect with resources, get them help, get them support in any way that we possibly can to basically make sure that we're not leaving people hanging as much as we possibly can. So it's a new thing that's going on for the police department. It's a great little addition, something else that we can do that really helps the folks in our community who've been unfortunately impacted by crime in some way. So a neat thing, and it's great to see that piece, that sort of forward victim-facing side of the police department, because often we think about the enforcement side, but we don't necessarily think about the other supports and the things that the police department does provide for those members of our community. So those are the major updates. We actually had a relatively short council agenda. Not saying that's because it's March Madness and a bunch of people wanted to get out and go watch the game tonight or last night, but it was a relatively short agenda. Really two items that were had any real sort of discussion. One is a location or placement of a statue at Town Hall. So Mayor George C. Wright Jr. Was prior to my time, did not unfortunately have a chance to meet him, though I've had a chance to meet his daughter numerous times, Sharon Wright, former councilwoman. And there's been an effort for a few years now to have a statue done of Mayor Wright and placed here in town. So the general timeline, COVID slowed a lot of this down, but the general timeline is that around probably by the end of the year or so, that statue should be ready to go, and it'll have a plaque that sort of says a little bit about his role as the first Black mayor. The general location is still to be defined, but the idea is that it's going to be located at Town Hall. Probably, I guess it would be on the north side of Town Hall, kind of between Town Hall and the current post office, and a statue there, and try and figure out whether there's a little park or how it's positioned so that people can have a chance to go up and take a look at it. But it's a nice thing. It's not being funded by the town, it's being funded by the state, and there's a local artist, I think from Wilmington, who's been sort of commissioned to create the statue for us. So that's coming along. It'll probably be, I guess, is maybe a year or so from now, we'll be having a dedication and some sort of an event focused on that. The major request that we actually had last night was a funding request from Citizens Hose Company, so our volunteer fire department, to help fund their bunk room. It was about a $92,000 project as part of their major additions. If you've not had a chance to be over to the new firehouse additions and see the new hall and some of the great stuff that they've put in, definitely try and get over there and check it out. But one of those pieces was a bunkhouse. This is quite literally, it's bathrooms, it's a bunk room, places for people to sleep, to give better amenities for the folks who are our volunteers, who are out there serving our community. Give them a place to come and rest. We have folks who do shift work who need a place to sleep during the day, but can be there to roll out when that fire whistle goes, and head out and help those in our community. So it was a request that it will then ultimately be funded through some of our ARPA funding, the town's ARPA funding, but $92,000 to do all the fit out for that. And the council, we'd heard about this a little while ago about the request, got the formal request last night and approved the funding for it. So it's a great thing, a wonderful addition. One of the things that our firehouse, just as every volunteer firehouse, struggles with is being able to attract and retain volunteers. We are fortunate in some ways in that if we had to provide fire service and pay for it through all of our taxes rather than through a volunteer fire service, it would be very expensive. It is an amazing resource that's provided to our community. Our contributions, right, when you get that letter from the firehouse asking for your yearly contribution, I hope that you do, write a check and get it off to them. If you get a company match, I hope you send it on to them too. But it is a very, very small price to pay for an amazing service that we have. And when the town can get a request to help make that service a little better, help make it a little more attractive for the volunteers, I like to think that we take as many of those requests as we can seriously and give what we are able to. So we got to do that last night, which is always nice. Those are the major items. There were a couple of administrative things like approving the final assessment list. The big ideas or the big things were those ones, though. The next thing that I have, and it's I am also as well as a councilperson, I get to be in charge of the Main Street Coordinating Board. This is a Main Streets effort. We have our next meeting tomorrow. We did talk a little bit at the meeting last night about some of the ideas that we are working on for the Main Street boards, which would be things like doing a better job of communicating to new members or of our community when they move into town, finding and getting resources out to business owners about opportunities to maybe get grants or loans or other programs that can help them improve their business, either their physical building or their operations. So we're trying to work on those pieces. Also kicking around ideas like downtown arts fest or downtown arts, like a mural and sculpture program, and events, things that might draw more people downtown. There's a program that Vice Mayor Forbes talked about called The Longest Table, or there's the Eat in the Street types of things. We obviously already have Smyrna at Night. It's not on your schedule. It should be. June 18th is going to be Smyrna at Night. And this year we're rolling out Downtown First Fridays. So starting in May, First Fridays, also downtown on Main Street. So get those on your schedule. But looking for other things that we can do that help highlight the businesses and help highlight life in downtown. And so we're going to be talking more about that. Hopefully we'll have some core ideas that we'll be then bringing back to council and presenting to them as we sort of break up our group into some subcommittees and start really digging into it. It's a relatively nascent effort. We've been at this for, in the pandemic, we haven't had as many meetings, but maybe about a year so far. Those are the big items. Obviously, if there's any questions or anything I can get information for people, I'm always happy to fill you in. Don't forget, tonight, 6 to 8 p.m., if you want to come out for the Meet the Candidates night at Town Hall, and absolutely make sure that you have April 26th on your schedule to get out and vote in our election this year. So, hope all is well. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and we'll see you all soon.